Education Code 44929.21, employees identification by numbers.
Number 1850-2526, 2995, 2209, 0130, 1760, 2388, 2865, 2078, 2809, 0362, 3049, 2806, 3104, 3014, 3111, 3114, 2854, 3003, 2982, 3110, 2363, 2368, 2266, 2709, 1126, 3115, 2673, 2985, 2956, 3002, 3078, 2988, 2912, 3028, and 2289.
The following shall be given notice that he or she will not be re-elected for the 2019-2020 school year, effective at the end of 2018-2019 school year, directed to the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices, and the vote was as follows. Nay was Bender and France. Ayes were Mario, Gutierrez, Sanchez, and Robinson. Roll call of the board members. I am here. Jim France is here. Sanchez is here. Carl Robinson is here. Jim Bender is here. We have Ms. Gaddis is here. And that's it. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda. I second it.
Ms. France made the motion. Sanchez seconded. We do have a item that we need to remove off the agenda, which will be item 10, A and B, which are change orders for this school, and they will be revised. So I will accept the motion to do a revise of that motion.
Motion to revise.
Motion by Grants, second by Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
All ayes, motion passes. Members of the public may address the board on any item within the jurisdiction of the board by submitting a presentation request to the secretary. Board members of the public are strongly urged not to mention personnel by name and are reminded that they are not immune from legal action. The personnel are the board. They limit each speaker to 3 minutes with a total of 20 minutes per topic. People wishing to speak on items that are on the board agenda will be called upon at the time that that item is considered. People wishing to speak on items that are not on the board agenda will be called upon at this time. Since the board cannot take, since the board generally cannot take action on items that are not on the board agenda, such items will be referred to the superintendent for handling. Kimberly Navarro? Yes.
that I wanted to talk about. One of the concerns is the Ascend Academy. I know that has already been decided and handled. My concern is how you guys came up with an idea or a game plan for when you guys move these students into the schools, how it affects the other programs that are in the schools, meaning the RSP classes that are already in effect. Per se, I have a student that's at West Park, and he is high autistic, but he's not from the SIM Academy. But do these students come into their classroom? Is it a separate classroom that you guys have plans on? How is that all planning out? Would you guys even have an idea as of yet?
STEM is going to, it's a program, so it's going to be to each school site, and each school site will have an assigned classroom.
Okay, so it's not going to affect any of like the RSP classrooms that are already in set up or any of that?
Well, we're hoping that those students can at some point mainstream, but to start off, we're going to have an assigned classroom in each school site.
Okay. Okay. The other one that I had was for removal of certain RSP teachers, that I think that has already been addressed. Well, on my end, I've been informed, so I don't need to discuss that. The other question I have is the ROTC program. Do we have any idea of actually what is going on with the ROTC program? Is this something that you guys are pushing out of the school, or is there something else that is going on that parents as a whole are unaware of? Because me personally, I have a high school student that is graduating this year with 4 years underneath his belt. He is also an RSP student. I don't see how it's even, how you can fall into removing the ROTC program from the school. It makes no sense. I have another student that's graduating next year. She's doing the same thing, 4 years of ROTC, that would be the goal. Makes no sense to me of what's going on, and lack of information is a big problem. So that would be one of my bigger questions, is what exactly is going on?
That's clearing it up right now.
All right, I was going to speak on the ROTC when it came to my superintendent report, but I'll go through that now because that may answer some questions regarding those that have a public comment. So ROTC, the district has been on probation with our program for the last 2 years because it requires 2 instructors. So we currently only have 1 instructor. We are searching for another instructor to, add to our program. So we certainly hope that we will be able to do that.
How come it's taking too long? If you guys have been on probation for 2 years, why haven't the parents been informed of what exactly is going on with the program as a whole?
We have been looking. It is very hard to find. We have it posted with the Air Force University, which is sort of a national database of job searches. But unfortunately, there's, that is a difficult position to fill. But we are looking. We've been in contact with the base on numerous occasions. We've had some people, reach out to us to try to help us. So certainly we are looking at rectifying the situation, but it has been difficult.
What is your guys' time frame? What exactly is the time frame? So are you guys, if you do not find somebody in this school year, I'm assuming by next school year, it will not be here.
The Air Force will cancel our program.
Again, why have none of the parents been informed? Because this is a big program. This is a very big program, and it affects a lot of students. So it makes no sense to me as a parent of why we were not informed. I was not informed until about 2 days ago that this was even going to be on the board. I mean, there is a big communication problem, especially with the high school students, in the amount of programs. We're pushing these kids out. Like I said, I have a senior. He leaves in a couple months. I mean, you've got 8th graders that are looking at paperwork to see what they're going to be coming into for the high school. ROTC is a big deal amongst a lot of these kids. shoot, if I would have had it, I would have joined it myself. Lack of communication, I just don't understand why parents are informed. Thank you.
I don't think I'll need that, but ROTC, as far as I know, has never been on the cancel. ROTC, as far as I know, has not been on the agenda to cancel. We've been trying to find a teacher, and if I'm correct, it has to come through the military? Yes. That's our problem. It isn't that we can post it on the website somewhere and hire a teacher. It has to come through the base. If you guys out there working on a base, get the word out. We need somebody bad. We do not want to see this program go. We need somebody. We need some help. We've been reaching out to them. We've been doing everything we can to get somebody in there, but it has to come through the base. It isn't one of them teachers that we can go and hire somewhere else. It has to come from the military. So if you work out there, please contact somebody, try to help us out.
Kimberly Schmidt.
Hi, good evening. I'm coming to you as a concerned parent, concerned community member, and as a concerned teacher, mostly as a parent. Safety is on the vision on the board, like if you go onto the board website, it says the superintendent's message is safety is a vision, is safety is a thing. Sorry, I need to take a breath. All right, so I have some concerns where you are wanting to cut campus safety officers when they've already been cut in half at my campus. You want to cut it by one more. You want to also cut a clerk who is also, I watched a kid almost run out our doors. If there hadn't been 3 people in that office to see that, it would have been a problem. That child would have went out. I'm also with the attendance at the district office. I, as a parent, leave before my child goes to school. She walks to the bus stop. Heaven forbid somebody take her. If somebody takes her, I do not get a call from the district office until 6 o'clock. So if I'm working late in my classroom, I don't know that she's gone until 6 o'clock. She catches the bus at 8. That is a long time for me not to know my daughter's going. Obviously, you can see I'm emotional about this. And there's a lot of cuts that are being asked for, and that are safety and concern as far as programs. And the kids are the ones that are going to pay. They didn't make the decisions to put us in the position we're in, and they're the ones paying. Thank you.
David Briggs.
Okay, well, first, congratulations to the new board members. I just not had an opportunity to congratulate you when you both won all 3 took the pledge, but for your oath of office. But I really hope that you're able to do some good work here. I just have a feeling it just sucks to be you right now. So. And I would wish you a happy new year, but obviously is not going to be a good one. So let's maybe just focus on the real business end. The first thing I want to talk to you about is just our independent audit. I watched thanks to John Joyce, the board meeting where the independent audit was presented, and it seemed like you had a couple decent questions, but then that was it. And then if you look back at John Joyce's previous year of the independent audit report, there was nothing said. But if you look into both of these audit reports, there is a multitude of problems that we are just letting go by. We're not even asking why are they happening. First off, the simple one starting from last year is the deficit spending and the interfund borrowing. I'm not sure why that's going on, and that has concluded, or continued, not concluded, continued throughout this independent audit report as well. She points it out yet again. No fixes. In fact, recommendations not implemented. They sit there and tell you to do something, and we're not doing it. So I think that needs to be the first thing we address, especially considering we're having to hack up all these jobs right now because we don't have money, because we didn't do our job in the first place, which was the oversight responsibility that this board owes to this community. So I think that we might need to consider that be one of our very next actions on the next board agenda item, or on the next board agenda. I think that we did make some steps to help create transparency and to try to help identify the problem. Reporting payroll month in or month in and mid-month was great, but I think it also needs to be disclosed the purchase orders and the pay vouchers. Knowing that gives the entire community an understanding of how much we are spending and whether or not we're over budget or under budget. Because I'll get to the budget in just a second, but I think everyone has the right to know why we are now an extra $5 million in debt with no answer, no clue. I think it might also be helpful to note, to take note that we haven't held anybody accountable for this. The two flaws that I pointed out, but I'll move on to the next one. Next one, please. Okay. So, financial condition. How are we so far off our projections? I mean, Eric sat there in December saying we're right on track. Everything looks good. And then I find out from the schools we haven't dropped enrollment. In fact, we're slightly up. ADA isn't down. We're up. How are we below our projections? How is it that we are finding ourselves in a financial deficit where we have to cut another $5 million? It doesn't make any sense. So I think that reporting those expenditures will help us get there, but we just need more transparency. We should know. Is it this OPEB? I mean, has that just ballooned out of control where we have no sense of hope? Are we going to have to actually anticipate the state coming in because those OPEB liabilities are so much? And if that's the case, or if that isn't the case, then I think the board needs to take action to start accounting for and setting aside the funding for those contingent liabilities because they will come due. And we're just going to run ourselves right into the same situation yet again, just like we did not 5 years ago. Same situation. In fact, there was a letter being circulated that said, this is how much we need to save, these are all the cuts we're having to go through, and we're going to fix ourselves. It seems like all we did was take that piece of paper and just try to present it to everybody again, with no accounting of why we're there. So I think that those are some things that we really need to think about. And I'll use this time to go back to holding people to account. The deficit spending and the in-fund borrowing, even though we haven't addressed it, was the least of the problems. There were additional misappropriations that were identified by those reports, and also double payments. What action has this board taken to make sure that that doesn't happen again? besides just letting the person run off and then filling the hole with another body. I think the board owes us an explanation and a response to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So I'll conclude with that one, and then I'll go ahead and move on to my third item, so that way we can move on, because I know there's a lot of other people that would like to talk tonight. The current pledge, we just signed this thing too, like in December. And, you know, this education is evolving, and if you don't evolve with it, you get left behind. It's an absolute competition for our kids to get out into that work world. And if we're sitting here thinking about cutting all of the programs that get them there, junior OTC, dual college enrollment, SKIPA, CTE, if we're going to axe all those programs, guess what? We're left with nothing but basic education. If we're left with nothing but basic education, all of our kids go away. Okay? You know about the cuts that you have to consider right now. Imagine what you're going to have to do next year when the exodus of kids leave to go back to Desert Christian, hop over to Quartzville, go to Lancaster, find charter schools, everything but Roseman, because we cut everything out. We're not going to be left with anything for this community. And when the school systems start to die, then the entire community dies, and then there is no more community. So, there's plenty of other people that are going to say stuff, so I want to just leave you with that. Thank you for your time, and I hope you really consider making some changes and announcing them soon.
The rest of the stack I have here, people like to speak, will all be considered when that item comes up. So I'm going to move forward. Student report.
Alright, so at Roseman High, it's getting pretty settled now. There's 2 scholarship opportunities offered for seniors, which is the RHS Staff App Scholarship and the RTA Scholarship. CSM is also selling Valentine's grams as a fundraiser until February 13th. And the Museum of Tolerance tickets are now available to juniors and seniors, as well as to the sophomores. Prom tickets are $75 and will increase in March. Yearbooks are $70 and will increase after spring break. There's a free band concert tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in the gym, and basketball and soccer will be off to playoffs soon. There's also a blood drive coming up, February 13th, something like that, around there. And that's it.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one, and I think we just need to unite as a school district and do what we need to do. When I first started, and Greg, you pointed out some good stuff, and I wish I could go back and make those accountable for the situation we're in. I'm really frustrated as a board member. I sat out where you were for many, many years, watching and listening to all the garbage that went on, and nobody held anybody accountable. We're asking the tough questions. We're looking at things the best we can. We want to solve and fix things. I'm excited. I'm saddened. I know we're going to be doing some things that hurts. I've been in situations with layoffs before too. They hurt everybody. There's nothing good about it. And unfortunately, I asked the question when I first started, we're at 2 million, we're 4 million. Now I hear we're 5.2 million. When's it going to stop? We need to fix it, and we need to fix it now. We need to take control of it and start working on a better future for us, for the kids. accountability, I believe in it strongly. We jumped into a basket full of stuff, and the only thing we're here to do is try to fix what others done, and that's what I want to do. I'm going to try my best. I believe the superintendent came up with a pretty good plan. We're working on some different things on it, trying to tweak it a little bit to make sure we help to give everything our kids deserve, give to them. And I don't want to miss anything out on the kids. It's because of the kids we're here. It's because as teachers we are here. That's why the board's here, is to support you guys and to run it and help organize and get this thing going the best we can. And I'm proud to be here. I know it's going to be tough. We're going to have some name calling, but I'm sorry we're in this situation. And we're asking the tough questions. I want to know why we're 5.2 now instead of 4 or 2. But it's what it is, and we have to fix it, or else we're going to be taken over by the state. And nobody wants to see that. So Greg, I thank you for your comments, and I wish I could hold them accountable. I really wish I could.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Like Jim said, none of this is easy. None of us want to see people lose jobs. I believe, just like many of the comments, I have my son, I have children that went through the school district, I have grandchildren, so I too have a vested interest in the Roseman School District or Southern Korean Unified. I have a grandson in ROTC, so believe me, you know, these are programs that we do value, but 5.2 million in the hole, that's a hard place. There has to be cuts. So we are, as Jim said, asking the hard questions, looking into things the best we can. But again, we do have our county oversight that oversees everything, and everything goes through legal, and there are some things that are beyond our control. So again, we're doing the best that we can to make sure that we're providing the best education for our students. But again, some of this is beyond our control. We have to make cuts somewhere. And hopefully, you know, I know there's a few things, hopefully we can, you know, get out of this quick and come up with some alternatives. And we will work on being transparent as possible. Thank you.
Hi. I understand how emotional you are about your children. You care about what happens to them in the future. You want to make sure that they have the best. And I'm here because I want the same thing for you. But we did come into a hard situation. So what we are trying to do as a board is to look at numbers. And instead of cutting programs, we want to make sure that classes are full and that we have qualified teachers. Many of the cuts that they run off the numbers are people that don't have their credentials yet. They're working on their credentials. Legally, we have to go out and search for people that are highly qualified. So we're not trying to cut out things where your kids, you know, need to be. We want to get the most qualified people in there. And in July, when they start making sure we fill those positions, we'll be filling them with the people that we can find, the most qualified people that we can find. So we understand what you are going through. But like she was stating, we are being told many things that we must do. We don't have choices about it. It has to be done because we can't just keep bleeding money. But honestly, we are trying to take care of your children. And we hope that we can do the best job possible. Thank you.
I would add to that, that I hope that we can work together and have ideas brought together as a district, and that we can help our students first. And that's what we're doing. So I'm hoping that and praying that, you know, we're all going to come out of this and eventually move on. Thank you.
I would like to see this crowd here on a regular board meeting when it's not such a bad thing that we're having to do. To address Mr. Gray's questions, one of the things that are most dearest to me is the industrial arts. We don't want to cut industrial arts if at all possible. And we're looking at keeping our OTC. Again, we have to have two teachers by our OTC standards. So if we don't have the extra teacher, we can't have it. And that has to do with military, the way they got it structured. So we will do what we can. And we've tried for 2 years trying to find an extra person. For some reason, we must have. As far as why did we allow this to happen before, people who started the problem will no longer be here and are no longer here. We should have made some of these cuts last year, but by the time it was found where we needed to be, it was too late. There's certain contractual issues that we have to do on certain dates. That's why we're here tonight. So that's as transparent as I can be. These should have been done last year. So we need to do it now. That's why we're at 5 million instead of 2 million. That's, like I said, it hurts to do this. So with that, thank you very much. RTA?
Good evening. I want to thank all the teachers and staff members for attending tonight's meeting. The sea of red you see is not a comment about the district budget. We are part of a Red for Ed movement led by public school teachers across the country, bringing attention to the challenges facing our profession and public schools in general. Tonight, the board has a critical agenda item up for discussion and possible action, item 8B, the resolution for a reduction in force, or RIF, for certificated staff, almost all being classroom teachers. Now, obviously, as you said, board members, this is a difficult and challenging decision for the members of the board. So much so, RTA urges the board to table the agenda item for further consideration, so you may make a fully informed decision. A decision that is in the best interest of the students first, and the staff in the district second. The first presentation given to the board by the district for recommended reductions was barely more than a week ago. 10 days is clearly not enough time for the board to give consideration to over $4 million in reductions of programs and personnel. I will use RTA's report tonight to go over the big picture items. I will raise questions about the process used for the recommendations and the validity of the numbers being provided. I will then present a budget approach that will meet the expectations of the county with the least amount of cutting in student opportunities. I expect several teachers to make brief presentations about specific programs that should be kept. We will adhere to the board meeting guidelines of 3 minutes per person, but I respectfully request the board suspend the requirement of less than 20 minutes per topic. Your decision is too important for you to limit the amount of information and opinion that we want to provide. Here are my concerns about the process used for putting together these recommendations. An ad hoc committee was formed of district administrators and a program coordinator. Now, I appreciate the work done by the committee and the starting point they provided, but much of it was done with minimal input from teachers in general and RTA in specific. The committee was to meet with the administration at each site, but did not want to include the RTA president or any member of the RTA executive board. It took last-minute negotiations for me to be allowed to be a part of the process and for RTA to be allowed to have a representative at each site. But even then, we were allowed only one representative, and this was all thrown together with one school day advance notice of the meeting schedule. Again, the committee did a good study and provided a solid starting point, but there's been little change in the original recommendations and the final list and cuts. After the initial meetings, the site administration and site leadership teams made requests for changes in the original package. I can say for certain, few or none of the changes seen as necessary from site leadership has been included in the recommendations presented to you a week ago. I also question the validity of reductions being presented to you. One common thread in every meeting I've attended is there being personnel reduced at every site except the district office. While the overall plan shows several positions targeted, are they real and valid? Essentially, all the positions listed were previously done away with. An example would be 3 classified positions listed as reductions in district office functions, which were actually vacated and then not filled in the prior fiscal year. These include a human resource technician, a receptionist, and the communications PR officer. 17-18, can they be claimed as a cut for 2019-20? It seems like the opposite of double dipping. It's double reducing. Are the savings real and true? Next, I'd like to focus on some budget numbers that I discussed with Mr. Henderson and Mr. Payne from the county. We had a meeting that included CSEA leadership, 2 officers from RTA and our CTA representative, along with Mrs. Hargis and Mr. Adam Zayans. During the meeting, the county made it clear that we have a $4 million debt that needs to be reversed and $1.2 million in a required reserve that needs to be restored. Simply, the number you've heard tonight, we need to save $5.2 million over the next 2 years. My question to the county was this: if we reduce our budget next year by $2.6 million with expenses of just more than $37 million, and if most of the $2.6 million is ongoing cost, meaning cuts in personnel, will we meet the county's goals? $2.6 million the first year carries over and is another $2.6 million the second year for a total of $5.2 million. Mr. Henderson and Mr. Payne responded yes. Now, I double-checked to make sure we all understood my thinking, and they confirmed me that this approach is viable. So why are we cutting $4 million the first year, then will carry over to be more than $7 million over 2 years by slashing programs that are beneficial to students and essential to keeping students in our district? We need to make reductions, there is no doubt. We do not need to make unnecessary cuts. Before you vote, board members, you need to fully understand what you are voting for. RTA believes we can meet the county's goals with a more modest approach. I've said it from the beginning, and I've been saying it for the last few years. We definitely need to reduce several teaching positions to maximize our class size limits, just as Mrs. Sanchez was saying. We have dozens of classes at RHS that are 25 or fewer students. Many classes under 20, less than a kindergarten class. We have dozens of classes at Tropico that have 25 or fewer students, and a handful that are under 20. We need competent master scheduling, especially at the high school, where the scheduling is more complex, to make sure that most or all of our classes are at the limit of 30 and the allowable maximum of 32 in regular classes. If we do this, we can reduce 20 to 22 teaching positions without cutting important programs. I estimate this alone will provide a minimum of $1.6 million in savings and upwards to $2 million. Along with significant cuts at the district office and minor reductions in classified positions, which you already took a big hit earlier this year, we can make the minimum of $2.6 million in savings we need, probably in excess of $3 million. Now, I'm not paid to be the finance guy. I'm not paid to build the master schedules. I don't work in HR deciding which personnel will have to be laid off. I'm not even paid to be the RTA president. But I can tell you this much. I have sat across the table in negotiations in the past, making these same kinds of reductions. I put together a plan of concessions that got us out of the last financial mess, with little impact to employee livelihood or student instructional programs. I would hope the board, the district administration, the county representatives would have a little faith and trust in my ability and the ability of RTA to give you a workable plan. Later tonight, board, you will hear from several teachers with thoughts and recommendations. You will hear why just 2 elementary PE teachers are essential to the education of more than 1,600 students and necessary in meeting state requirements for physical education. 2 teachers for 1,600 students. That can't get any more cost effective. You have been given information by email why the CTA digital media program is popular with students and critical in our SIP program for college and career readiness. The Southern Kern Prep Academy serves students like no other program in our district. It attracts and retains more than enough students to the district to cover the cost of the program through the ADA for those students. ROTC provides 150 high school students with a program that teaches skills they find in no other classroom. Reading intervention for 4th and 5th grade students is being moved into the classroom. Will the students benefit equally from this model? And finally, Ascend teachers and classes are being moved to the regular sites, but at least 50% of the teachers are being reduced. Will we be meeting the needs of these students, helping them to continue to improve? So again, I am making my requests. Please give everyone a chance to address the board tonight. Limit each speaker to 3 minutes, but do not limit this group to 20 minutes. Then, board, delay your vote on the RIF resolutions until 1 or 2 weeks from tonight so you can get the true information you need to make the best decisions under these difficult circumstances. We can still meet the necessary timelines. As always, board, thank you for your time, your attention, and your patience with my presentations.
So to clarify about the deficit, we borrowed $1.8 million last year to help with our cash flow. We're currently 3.6 in the red. That includes the 1.8 that we owe the county. But we also anticipate borrowing more, around 1.2 to 1.4 million from the county to make cash flow this year as well. Cash flow is basically paying our bills, and payroll included. We work on a budget, but cash flow is month to month. So depending on when the state gives us money, that's how we can make our cash flow. So the line of credit that we have with the county is for $5 million. We've borrowed 1.8. We anticipate borrowing another 1.2 this year. So the 2 classrooms in RHS are almost complete. They're going to install the cabinets either today or sometime this week. We did get some funding for targeted assistance for our schools, about $167,000. That's to be used to target the deficiencies in the dashboard. And the deficiencies are the red parts of the dashboard. If you don't know about the dashboard, it's basically a state metric now. And it's really specific about subgroups and student groups. So we have about $167,000, and we need to put a plan together to address the subgroups with that money. TMS experienced a leak in the gymnasium roof. Our staff was able to take care of it, so we avoided filing an insurance claim. Our our new workers' comp program this year. Already we've saved $250,000 in workers' comp premiums. We paid $800,000 last year. This year our workers' comp premiums are $550,000. Attendance throughout the district is up this year, 0.5%. 0.5% may not seem like a lot, but that equates to about 15 to 20 ADA. So we're looking at possibly $150,000 to $200,000 more in funding. And we won't know until April when we do P2, and that's the report to the state about our ADA. And the governor came out with his budget for next year. There's no new money. The only new money we can expect is 3.4% cost of living increase. That's 3.4% of what we already received in LCFF funding. And there will be no one-time funding that we did receive this year. And that's $800,000 we can expect next year.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming. This definitely is a trying time for everyone, and these cuts are not easy, but unfortunately they are necessary. This is my 25th year in the district, and as I look out, and I see many of you, I know many of you have been here, maybe not as long as I have been here, but I have never known our district to give up. So I know that we're going to work together, and we're going to get through this time together. Like I mentioned earlier, ROTC is a program that we are really working to make sure that we can maintain that. Skipper was mentioned, that also is a program, and we're going to maintain that program, we're just going to change its location. So we certainly are working and trying to find solutions that will not impact students' education, and we certainly look forward to coming up with those solutions with not only the board, but with all of you. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Eric, we're at 5.2 now. That surprised me when I heard that figure at the end. Are we there? Are we going to keep growing that debt?
We're not at 5.2. When we borrow to make our cash flow needs, we will reach 5.2.
We will reach.
So right now we're at 3.6.
Good question on that. If we borrow the money for capital purposes, we get paid from the state, or just reimburse it?
From the state?
Yeah, when we get paid from the state, do you not just reimburse it back?
The county?
Yeah.
Yeah. The goal is to build a reserve and then pay back our loan.
So that money that we get from the state, that we borrow, will go to reserves first, and then pay back.
We want to be able to meet our cash flow without borrowing.
Thank you.
Mr. Gutierrez, you forgot to dismiss.
Again. I'm sorry, CSEA, would you please give a report?
Hello. Here we are again facing more cuts this time, both RTA and CSEA. We are told to be team players, yet the district is not playing fair. Both RTA and CSEA continue to take the brunt of this financial crisis. The district takes minimal cuts. Where is the team in that? We are here for the student, yet you take away from them. The CSEA and RTA sat in meetings with the DO and the county members, and it was stated, go as deep as you can without adversely affecting the education of these students. These cuts that you have suggested are adversely affecting the education of these students. And drastically, during this meeting, we were said not to blame our district office or the business offices, yet they are wrong. If these people and the previous board had not turned a blind eye and approved the spending money without investigation, we would not be here. Our mission statement, to provide a diverse student body with the best education possible, and to instill in them a passion for lifelong learning, partnership with our parents and our community. One, send that mission statements out by sending them to the different sites. the kids feel safe at the site that they are, but that's out. You also have heart, our core value. Honesty and fairness, out. Excellence, well, we'll try our best, we always do, because we are truly here for the kids. As I've stated, respect, we are getting the respect that we deserve. Transparency, still we're not seeing it. We get agendas from the board that list numbers, but doesn't tell us what those are. Just more non-transparency and safety. These cuts will affect the safety of our students. Just by cutting CSOs alone. We're already understaffed for these students, and you intend to take more away from them. Please think about what we can do together as a whole district to help these students.
Consent items A through H, and we are moving motion by Grant, second by Sanchez. All in favor? Aye. Five ayes, motion passes. Student vote. Curriculum and instruction. According to the report on Williams Uniform Complaint Act. And we have no complaints. Approved single school plan for Roseland High School.
Make a motion that we approve the single school plan for Roseland High School.
Hand her the mic so we can hear what she's saying.
Please make a motion to approve the plan at Roseland High School.
I second it.
Seconded by Mr. Bender. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Review the action on the Kern County Consortium, SOPS, local plan to be in place at the beginning of 2019-2020 school year.
So what this is a plan that's created by the special education SELPA at the Kern County Office of Education. And so the only difference is they had a large district, Panama Buena Vista, is becoming their own SELPA because they're so big. And so this plan is just a revision to keep that district out of the plan. So there are actually very few changes to the plan other than the fact that they departed.
What district was that again?
Panama Buena Vista, they have about 10,000 students, and so they decided to create their own SELPA.
I make a motion that we approve the new Kern County Consortium Southwest Local Plan for the year 2019-2020.
Motion by Ms. Sanchez. Second by Ms. Grant. All in favor?
Aye.
Five ayes. Student. Aye for the student. Personnel. The following personnel items which may be included: hiring and resignation, contract adjustments, retirements for certificated and classified employees presented to the board for approval.
I make a motion that we approve the personnel positions and hire for personnel agenda.
I have a motion from Sanchez to approve the personnel agreement.
This is the stipends and that for the sports too, we're approving?
Yes.
And just info only, everything's done correctly on the stipends with the assistant coaches, and we're not gonna have the problem we have with the football. As far as we know, we're good.
As far as we know.
I second.
Seconded by Mr. Bender. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5 ayes, motion passes. Discussion and possible action on resolution 18-19-10, reduction in the